Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope everybody can hear me okay. My voice is a little bit I don't know why it's a little bit hoarse, I guess is the word you guys call it. Kind of sounds a little chapped to me, is what I'm calling it. But anyway, good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Marketplace Monday. Um, it is the beginning of a brand new week of work, week of pursuing God, week of pursuing life, week of pursuing health and happiness. It is a great week to be alive. It is a great week to be a believer of Jesus Christ. And more importantly, it is a great week to allow his kingdom to shine through us. That's what God has called all of us to do. Allow his kingdom to shine through us. And it's also a great week to be an American. Amen. So listen, I'm excited. I'm always excited because, the one thing that we have that a lot of people don't have is every day we wake up. I want you to think about this. Every day we wake up, we have opportunity. Every day we wake up, we have an opportunity to make a difference in our own life. We have an opportunity to have a better life. And that's just a great thing. I want you to put that in the chat this morning. I have opportunity. I have opportunity. So, anyway, we're going to continue on in our series that we're doing right now called the Communication Blueprint Building Teams That Thrive. The Communication Blueprint. So, no matter what you do, whether you're building a family, whether you're building a business, whether you're building a ministry, the key to all of that is what we covered in chapter number 1, which was the foundation of an effective workplace communication. So no matter what you're doing, we got to learn to build an effective, what I call communication platform. Then we went to part 2 of this series. I'm going to do a mini book on it for you guys so you can have it after we get done. We talked about listening with awareness and understanding. So part 2 was listening with awareness and understanding. You got to listen to understand, not listen to respond, right? And then chapter number 3 or part number 3, we talked about delivering feedback effectively. We talked about that last week. A growth-driven approach. Delivering feedback effectively. Delivering feedback, learning how to have empathy, learning how to do the things that we need to do to get the right response. Okay? So today, what we're going to now move on to is what we call overcoming workplace communication barriers. Unlocking collaboration. You could have issues communicating at home. You could have issues communicating with your children. You could have barriers at work. You could have barriers between you and your boss. You could have barriers between if you're leading a team, leading that team and what they're hearing, right? And what's an example of that? Well, have you ever sent or received a message that was misunderstood, right? You didn't understand, you didn't quite get the gist of it. What does it do? It probably led to unnecessary conflict or confusion. This happens all the time. Communication breakdowns are one of the most common obstacles that hinder, right? This is one of the most common things that hinder workplace success, right? They can result, typically come from assumption. Assumption, you hear me say it all the time, is the lowest form of knowledge, right? They come from assumptions, they come from misinterpretation of what they said. They come from misinterpretation of body language. They come from misinterpretation of tone or tonality in the way somebody speaks, right? Or they come from just an overwhelming amount of information. Sometimes people are just giving you so much information. They're giving you so much feedback. You don't get good notes. You don't really write everything down, and you don't get all the information, the complete information that you need to make effective decisions and do things effectively, right? So to build a high performing team, it is crucial, it's critical that we identify these barriers and actually apply the correct practical principles, and solutions. So that's what I kind of want to talk about in this episode, right? Um, George Bernard Shaw wrote this. Bernard Shaw was a writer from the 1800s. He was also a Nobel Peace winner. He wrote this: the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. I love this when I read it. The single biggest problem in communication, I love this, is the illusion. Didn't I tell you to take the garbage out? No, you didn't. I know I told. No, you didn't. The illusion that is taking place that leads to a fight, leads to an argument. Didn't I tell you to be here at 7:00 this morning? No, you didn't. How many of these types of I don't want to call them arguments, but that's what they are. Arguments, disagreements, misunderstandings have you had? How many times has that happened? Give me a thumbs up if you've ever had give me a thumbs up in the chat if you've ever had a communication disagreement, right? So how do we overcome these? Let me give you a few points this morning to make some notes on that will help out. First thing we got to do is we got to identify barriers. What are the barriers to communication? So number one, write this in the chat: assumption. Write it in the chat: assumption. I want you to get these out there. Communication barriers: assumption, unclear messages. You're not being final with your messages. You're not being clear with your messages. You're not being decisive with your messages. So assumption, unclear messages. Watch this: emotional misreads. What does that mean? Sometimes, man, we get so fired up, we get so emotional, we misread the situation, we misread the circumstances. So things like assumption, unclear messaging, emotional misreads, a lot of times that will cause communication, what you're trying to say, go unnoticed, right? So when we recognize these barriers, right, and we understand that we are assuming, we're not being clear, we're getting emotional in our talk, that then can reduce the tension in the communication, right? Write this down. Here's the key. Awareness is the first step towards removing obstacles. If you're having communication challenges, if you struggle to communicate clearly, if people have told you more than once, man, you shut down, you don't talk, you don't communicate, we don't collaborate, we don't, if you're with your wife, we don't ever talk. If you don't become aware that you're sitting there while your wife is pouring out her heart and you're not even responding, you're not even communicating, that's the first problem. You're not aware. So awareness, write that down. Awareness is the first step towards removing obstacles. Number two, clarifying expectations early. Say it with me. Expectation leads to manifestation. Unclear expectations lead to frustration, lead to missed deadlines, lead to team confusion, and unclear expectations can lead to chaos, right? So in your teams, when you're talking about unclear expectation at work, you need to define roles, define responsibilities, and deliver them from the start to ensure everyone's on the same page. I'm doing this right now with the creative team, right, at our church. Really trying to get everybody's, roles and responsibilities clearly defined, what we are expecting clearly defined, letting people know what they can do and what they can't do, what will be tolerated and what won't be tolerated, right? Setting clear, defining roles, defining responsibilities, right? Now, how does that work in the marriage? Same thing. Man, if you're not going to come home till 11 o'clock because you have a late business meeting, if you make your wife aware of that and you set very clear expectations with her, hey, hon, don't cook tonight. Hey, hon, don't plan for us to watch a movie together tonight. Why? Because I'm going to, I have a late meeting at work and I'm not going to be home till 11. Meanwhile, your wife is rushing home to get home early. Why? She wants to cook you a beautiful meal. She's been laboring all day, working all day. In her mind, she's thinking, man, I want to cook a meal. When we get done, I'm going to go take a little bubble bath, and then we're going to lay in the bed and watch a beautiful movie together. She's got all this going in her mind. She cooks the meal, 6 o'clock comes, you don't show up. What does it do? It leads her to frustration. It can lead to anger, can lead to fights, right? So I gave you 2 examples, one in the workplace, one at home. Write this down. Here's the takeaway from this one. Clear expectations create accountability and focus. Watch this. Clear expectations create accountability and focus, both inward and personal accountability and focus, and outward accountability and focus from your team or your partner. Okay? So number 2, clarify expectations early. Number 3, foster open dialogue. What does that mean? We got to encourage people in the team to talk. We got to encourage people in the team to ask questions. We got to encourage people on the team to voice concerns. We got to sit down and have meetings where we just let people share their ideas. It doesn't mean you got to use every idea. It doesn't mean you got to use any. It might be a great idea, but it might be the wrong season. But just sit down and let them know that you care about their ideas. Regular communication prevents misunderstandings and improves trust within the team. Key takeaway: open dialogue leads to stronger teamwork and innovation. Open dialogue leads to stronger teamwork and innovation. Number 4, practice. Write this down. Practice emotional awareness. Practice emotional awareness. Body language, tone, and emotions impact communication. Be mindful of how you convey and interpret messages. That can reduce conflict and it can build empathy. It could lead to people believing that you care, right? If you're sitting there and somebody's talking to you and you're giving them a few minutes to share with them something not so good that happened over the weekend, and you're like, yeah, okay, all right, is that all? That's not good emotional awareness. That's not good body language. That's not good tone. They don't feel like you care at all. So what's the key takeaway there? Emotional awareness strengthens relationships and it builds collaboration. Emotional awareness strengthens relationships and it builds collaboration. Last one. Let's go over them again. Number 1, identify barriers of communication, right? Awareness is the first step towards removing obstacles. Number 2, clarify expectations. Clear expectations create accountability and focus. Number 3 was foster open dialogue. And open dialogue leads to a stronger team and both innovation, right? In other words, being more getting greater ideas. Number 4, practice emotional awareness. Emotional awareness strengthens relationships and collaborations. And we end with implement regular check-ins. Especially in church, this is something we don't do a lot of. I'm guilty of this. I got to do a better job of it, right? Especially people that serve me, right? They do such a wonderful job. Schedule consistent check-ins with them, right? What does that do? That helps realign or align or keep aligned teams, right? It helps to update progress. Helps to give you a better understanding of everything that's going on. And if there is an issue, if you're checking in regularly, it helps you get ahead of the issue before the issue escalates. So put that one in there. Implement regular check-ins, right? When we are proactive, right, to situations and circumstances, we foster a communication we foster a culture of communication. When we begin to become proactive, we foster a culture of communication. Key takeaway: regular touch points, right? It can be a quick text. It could be a quick call, but regular touch points enhance alignment and productivity. I'm going to leave you with this today. Stephen Convey said this: seek first to understand. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Seek first to understand, and then to be understood. Amen. I hope you guys enjoyed this today. I hope it's been beneficial for you. Apply these principles at work, apply these principles at home. Take one principle and try to apply it to yourself, apply it to your life, apply it to what you're doing, apply it with a conversation at home with your kids, and then apply it at work. Just take one principle at a time and work on improving your communication. You will see life will be better. Okay? Listen, I love you. Don't forget, We Wednesday with Pastor Franny. Man, everyone needs to be on this. It's really, really good. It's about relationships. It's about marriage. She's going over her book, Let's Be the Women and Let the Men Be the Men, chapter by chapter. I encourage you all to get there. Invite a friend. Amen. Until next time, Pastor Nick saying, enjoy life.